What's up, beautiful people? You already know this is. This is Levar, aka Ramzie, the editor-in-chief of Snubb3d Magazine. And today on the sit down, we have a very special guest. On the sit down, I don't introduce the guests, the guests introduce themselves. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to the guests first, and then we're gonna jump right into the conversation.
Oh, buddy. Well, I'm the kid that's in the corner observing everything, that knows how to make his own beats, write his own records, produce a bunch of people, destroy a stage if I need to. And my mother named me Kwame. How about
Yes.
that?
Yes, sir. That works. See, you was like, what am I going to do? Listen, you held it down like you always do. Number one, like I said to you before we came on, I want to thank you for coming to speak to us today on at Snubb Magazine. It's an honor to have you. Hip hop royalty to me.
Thank you,
I
man.
see it. So let's jump right into it. I want to start off where it all began for you. Tell us how this journey began for you coming into the hip hop space in a revolutionary time of and the era that you came up in.
Well, I think, I try to, I think it's, we ever heard the saying when somebody's doing something or something happens, they say it has to be in the water, it's in the water.
Yeah.
So for me, I grew up in an area in Queens, New York, East Elmhurst, Queens, or East Elmhurst, Corona, Queens. It's literally two neighborhoods that act as one. And that neighborhood is 100% the reason I think why I do what I do at the level that I try to do it at. So to give you a brief history of the neighborhood, in the late 30s, early 40s, the neighborhood was predominantly white and Jewish, and it was Jewish and Italian and Irish. And in the late 30s and the 40s, black people started making more money in New York. They started growing the black middle class, and they started moving into Queens, and they moved into that neighborhood. A lot of people. So at first, you had jazz legends like Louis Armstrong that lived in that neighborhood, Ella Fitzgerald, Dizzy Gillespie, Harry Belafonte, great sports legends like Willie Mays. And then in the 60s moved in, you had one of the greatest historical figures of all time, Malcolm X, lived in that neighborhood. That was the neighborhood he lived in where the infamous house bombing when they tried to kill him.
Right.
That block is my block. That's the
Okay.
block that I grew up on. So now you go into the 70s, and now you're in the 80s. And in the 80s, on my block, 2 blocks down, you have Eric B from Eric B and Rakim. 3 blocks down, you have Kid from Kid and Play. 5 blocks that way, you have Play from Kid and Play. A couple of blocks this way, you have Cool G Rap. Then you have the super producer, the first quote unquote hip hop super producer, Herbie Lovebug. He lived in the neighborhood. And what Herbie did was through a school experiment, a school project, he put his girlfriend, Cheryl, and her best friend Sandy together. They made a record, and that was Salt and Pepper. And from Salt and Pepper, he put his boys on Kid and Play. And then from Kid and Play, I was Herbie's younger brother's best friend, and they was like, hey, this kid could do something too. And so it was just about proximity,
Right.
and not even just proximity, because you got to have some kind of talent, I would assume. But I think it's very important. I tell grown-ups, kids, anybody this. Sometimes all it takes is for you to have a dream that you want to do something and be able to actually see someone else able to do it.
Right.
And a lot of times, a lot of kids have these dreams and they may see somebody on TV, but they may not know somebody. So imagine being in a neighborhood and you're walking, you go into the store, you're walking, that person is doing it, that person is doing it. And it has nothing to do with money because at that time, nobody's making money off of it.
Right.
They just doing it,
Right.
and so I think that was very important, very, very, very important for my upbringing in this game. And it helped me launch, everything I did after that.
Definitely. As your career evolved, what were some of the most defining moments that shaped you, not as a rapper, but as an artist? Because you're the way that you are, you had a voice and you were stand out. You were different from everybody. Your style, your just everything about it. What was that era like for you?
Well, for me, I think the things that shaped me as an artist weren't necessarily, how do I put it? I don't want to say negative things. They weren't positive. They weren't like, oh, I got a Grammy for this, or I did that, I
All
got a
right.
gold ring. It wasn't things like that. It was things that may have taken place where I'm somewhere and I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm noticing that either a bunch of kids are trying to do this exact same thing, or they're emulating, or they're paying homage in a certain way. Like for example, one of my first shows um, was in a city called Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I was the opening act. I wasn't like, I wasn't the star of the show or anything. But when I walked on stage, all the kids in the audience were dressed like me.
Mm.
They are on polka dots. They had the same hairstyle. The whole audience looked like me, to the point where I walked off the stage like, all right, who's playing the joke? Okay, ha
Right.
ha ha. Somebody put a school up to a joke. Like this is
Right.
a good joke. And they're like, nah, no, they are, it's not your show per se, but they're here to see you.
Right.
And I'm like, yo. And then as I started going through the country, I started to see that that's a defining artist moment. That means that people are resonating with me and my different style of dressing, or my different type of swag. People are resonating with it without me trying to tell people to do that. Or at the same time, there's been times in my career where people have tried to, get at me because of my different style, or anything like that. To me, those are defining artistic moments, because when you do art, whether you're painting, whether you're dancing, whether you're doing music, art is subjective. Art is expression.
Right.
If everybody loves the art, it's not good.
Yeah.
If everybody loves it, because it's only one dimension. It's like you got to have people hating on it. You got to have people looking at it on sideways, like, I don't understand, because they may like it later on. But I'm saying initially, it has to cause some sort of reaction and some sort of conversation. So things like that has happened within my career, and I think that really shaped me as an artist as well.
I can't say for myself. I mean, I was a kid when, like, I was a baby when you came
Yeah,
out.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But I can say, like, later on, I found out who you were because of hip hop and everything like that. And there were some looks that I'm not gonna even lie, I have taken some time to be like, I like this. I'm gonna have to play with this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it's the style. And it's funny that you say that, because I actually was gonna bring that up. That a lot of times, a lot of people don't see that legends or people like you have shaped some of the fashion trends that are happening now. And they think like, oh, I just made this trend. It's like, no, go back to history real quick and look at this person at a circle. And they're like, oh, I never saw it. So I've mimicked or looked at certain things. So I'm like, yo, this fit right here, right now. This would be perfect for this event. Like this is,
Yeah,
so
you know
I
what's
have to say that.
it's crazy from like my perspective, right? When I was a kid, we didn't have things that, like the high fashion element that's in hip hop and in just culture now,
Yeah,
wasn't there,
right,
right?
right,
There was still, yes, there was Gucci, there was Louis, there was stuff like, but the kids, there was no kid trying to get that. Like we
right,
didn't know nothing about. Nobody had a Gucci bag. Nobody. But if we did, it was fake,
right,
or it was
right,
whatever.
right,
We just put looks together based on going to thrift stores, based on figuring things out, buying things way too big, oversized, this, that, and the other, and putting it together. And this is our style. And you know, each kid was an individual with that style. So to flash forward to now, and you can see like this high-end fashion house putting this out. And I'm like, yo, you know that we used to do that for like
exactly,
$25 when I was a kid.
exactly.
But you don't want to sound like the old guy, but
Right,
it's like, don't act like you made that up,
right, right,
because, you know, and really even further, what used to happen, we used to dress and act a certain way, and people from like Vogue and different companies, they would go to where we would hang out and just take pictures and just document the style.
mm-hmm.
And then the next thing you know, like 10 years later, you see it walking on the runway. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, right.
And
Right.
just look at the resurgence of somebody like Dapper Dan. You know, when I
Yeah.
was a kid, Dapper Dan was making drug dealer clothes. He was making clothes that only the drug dealers could afford. Some athletes could afford it. Some rappers could afford it. But it was his take on what he thought Louis, Gucci, and all that stuff should do.
Right.
That tailored to our culture, where Louis and Gucci weren't doing that.
Right.
And then you flash forward during the pandemic, Gucci puts out or Louis Vuitton puts out something that was clearly jacked. And that was the great thing about social media. Everybody was like, what y'all doing?
Right. Exactly.
Y'all just jacked that.
Exactly.
Y'all put Dapper Dan in jail for copying. And then you come back and you jack him? Nah. And so that's why I love to see his kind of resurgence because it's like, all right, you're finally getting recognized for that expression. So I think it's dope.
Definitely. We're gonna fast forward a little to like the producer era. You produced for icons like LL Cool J, Mary J. Blige, Christina Aguilera, Missy Elliott, Will Smith. What was it like for you to step behind the boards and teach about your artistry or teach about artistry?
Well, I think for me, I went through a period of time since you was a baby. I went through a period in time where the style of rap that I was doing totally phased out, right? And I'm left with a question to myself of like, what do I do? You
Mm,
know, I am everything that I represent is now played out for the moment, and I'm only 19, 20 years old.
gotcha.
I can go so many different directions at this point. I can go back to school. I can become an eye doctor. I can just whatever the hell I can quit. I can just but I knew that the music and the artistry was still in me. So it was like, well, if I can't do music, there's a whole bunch of people that still are doing music. They're gonna need music.
Yeah.
Why not give them what I give to myself? So then that's where the producing and I had, a lot of help and other producers that were doing their thing that I may have grown up with or known, they helped me out and they helped me get different placements and and I got back on my feet by being a producer and a writer. And I thought it was great. You know, a lot of the artists I already knew. Um and so it was good to be able to work on that high of a level,
Right.
and it was way higher than the level that I was working at as a rapper. So I enjoy it. I enjoy sitting with an artist that I've never worked with before, maybe never even known before, and I don't care if they're a platinum artist or just coming out. I don't really care. Um, I just like sitting with them and learning about who they are, what they want to express, and being able to. It's like I'm like a tailor. I like to make the music
Right.
directly for that, not just pass them. Here's some beats. No, I want to know you. I want to know what you're like, and I try to make the beats like that. And that's kind of a lost art. A lot of producers don't do that anymore. So when I get those opportunities to do it, I really enjoy it.
Definitely. As you know, everything's now streaming.
Yeah,
You went through different eras from well, for my parents, we've seen the vinyl. I seen the tape deck. I see the double tape deck.
yeah,
The CD player.
yeah,
It went to iPads. Even people trying to steal it off of, remember, LimeWire, all
yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
stuff. So now we're at streaming. Keeping yourself and seeing how the music has changed. Is there anything that you see now? Because we're about to get on talking about your album, The Different Kids. Do you see anything right now that has shifted for you, or do you still think of the same formats of how you think of producing or making your own music?
All right, it's twofold.
Okay.
The music industry, the core industry, has not changed since 1950s. It's all the same. You could call it a CD, a vinyl, or streaming. It's record labels getting the artist's pocket. Like
Right.
that is what that is. But I also understand that um I don't want to say moving with the times because time is always moving. You don't have it don't make any sense to say I'm moving with the times. Like you're
Right.
always moving. And you have streaming. Trust me, in 10 years it's gonna be something else.
Right.
And you just gotta understand that things change at all times. And yet the same things stay the same because now it's like it's funny. I'm so used to streaming, and now I got to put together CD and vinyl packages for the new album. I was like, yo, I have not done this in years. I feel like that's the old thing, and I'm so used to the streaming thing now. So, um, I just know that I'm glad that there's still a space for vinyl and CD and sometimes even cassette that people want to really buy into their artists because at this point it's you're just giving them art away for free
Yeah.
when you're doing streaming. If you tell people, "Oh, stream my album," when I tell you, man, like unless you're at the very top of the totem pole, like a Drake or a Beyonce or Taylor Swift, you got those three, but then you got everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Right.
um the streaming it's just it does not make the artist a living. It doesn't.
Right.
You think about this. In order for an artist to kind of feel like they did something successful, their song has to be streamed 1 billion times. What song do you listen to 1 billion times? You know what I'm saying? It's just
Right.
it's not possible.
Right.
It's not physically possible. All the songs in the world, but you're gonna not listen to nothing else but this Ice Spice record a
Right.
billion times.
Right.
Like, come on, y'all know you're not. Stop.
All right.
So what I'm saying is, people got to stop being in that mindset that they're feeding us. Like, oh, this album was a flop because it only streamed this amount. How can that be a flop? Yo, nobody bought it. It was
Yeah.
already a flop.
Yeah.
It's not selling. You can't call something that's not for sale a flop.
Yeah.
That don't make no sense. It's a success. It's out. It's already a success. It's already out. So and I think we got to get off of that and find ways to support our artists, whether it's going to their shows, whether it's buying their vinyls, buying their CDs. I don't know where you're gonna play the CD at. I know a new car don't even have a CD player. Where you gonna play it at?
Right.
So like what you gonna do? So you just got to figure out ways to navigate and just understand, like, things change, man.
Definitely. Yeah, I have now I've gotten back into buying vinyls again.
Yeah,
I love it. Like and I didn't know how like I'm a person that liked the 80s and 90s style anyway, like everything
yeah,
there. Even like cassettes, sometimes if I could find it like an old school cassette, like I go get like so happy because I'm like, "Oh, I remember just even like opening it up
yeah.
and
Let me ask you. I'm not trying to put your age on it, but how old are you?
I'm now 38. So
Okay,
when you
so
came out with with the first
you
album,
were two.
two. Yeah, two,
So
1977.
so so you're 38. So your world is CDs. Your world,
Yeah,
you came up in the world of CDs. Like when my first album came out, yo, there wasn't even that many rap records on CD. I remember them giving me a CD of my album. I was like, the hell is this? Like,
yeah.
I'm so used to the albums and the cassette. But when they
Yeah.
gave me my first album, like the CDs came in these long boxes.
Hmm.
And, but what I'm saying all that to say, for people your age and younger, and even my age, it doesn't matter. It's also the nostalgia of it.
Yeah.
When you get an album of somebody's, right? And you purchase an album, right? You got this album. I feel like I have a piece of the artist that I am interested in. I can read the stuff. I can read stuff about them.
Yeah.
There might be some pictures in the album. The album may have a special color to it. It's like buying a piece of furniture almost, a piece of jewelry almost. And I think that's so dope that people are getting back into it because they're understanding and they're also listening to the artists because artists are out here complaining.
Yeah.
Streaming, I was just telling somebody, streaming is like this. Buying an album is you hear the music and you own it. You take it home. If something happens to it, you go get another one, but
Yeah.
you own it. Streaming is like this. Imagine going into, say, Zara and you like a jacket. No, let's say you go into Gucci and you like this jacket in Gucci. You're not going to buy it. You walk in every single day, you try the
Right
jacket
on.
on, you walk around the store, and then you put the jacket back. You walk in every day, put the jacket on. That jacket ain't yours.
Yours is not right.
What if Gucci closed? What if that Gucci store closed?
Never walking back in there to get it, try it on.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's what it feels like when you stream a record. It ain't if you lose your phone, you lost your record.
Yeah,
If you don't pay your Spotify account, if you're doing a monthly account for Spotify, or Tidal, or Apple, you don't pay it, you lose your records. If
yeah,
you lost your computer, you lose your records. Like, come on.
yeah.
You know, what's that all about? And
Right.
I understand it should be a secondary convenience to have it on your phone at all times. You listen to it, that's dope. But if you really rock with an artist, I think you should go out, grab an album, grab a CD, grab a cassette, whatever the bundle is, and enjoy it. And
Yeah,
it sounds better.
it does.
It
Definitely
sounds
does.
better, and people don't
Definitely.
realize that it's like a thicker sound. It's a,
And you
you
hear
know,
all
it's,
the instruments and
yeah,
everything being played on it. I definitely agree on that.
yep,
So the Different Kids album. So I want to talk real quick about that. You started off with the Kwame show and you used a sitcom style intro
yes.
before flipping it into like a commentary. How did you create that concept or go about doing that? Because that was like number one that attracted me right then. I was like, okay, like I said, it's nostalgic to hear certain things coming back into the realm of music. And so what made you go for that concept?
So I wanted it to feel like, because I haven't been out for a long time,
Right.
and I wanted it to feel like, I know that I like to tell stories, and I want my album to feel like a 27-minute short film almost. Um, but I also wanted it to feel like you're I don't know. I'm trying to think of just say 90210, a
Okay.
show from the 90s, decided to come back, but they wanted to be how they are now. The intro to the show is going to feel, if they do it right, it's going to feel like the old intro. So
hmm
it pulls you in. It's like, okay, oh, we about to get into some 90210. And then they
Yeah.
go into what they're dealing with now. I wanted it to feel like that because people haven't heard from me in such a long time. Um, when they hear the album, it's like, okay, where's this going? Because it don't start out like hip hop. It
No.
start out like some jazz
Uh-huh.
1970s sitcom. You're like, the hell is this guy doing?
Right.
And then it's
And then
like
it flips
DJs drop
them.
the beats like bruh, and then you're like, all right, all right, all right, all right.
All
And
right.
then and so I wanted it that nostalgic feeling to welcome you back and take it from there.
Is there any song? I mean, they all are. I've heard it is. I love it. Like I said, it's crazy beats on there. The vibe of it is just very. It's a storytelling vibe, like you
Thank
said.
you, thank you, thank you.
What is there any song on there that you're like, you know what, like this is one of my favorites off of the album?
It's weird. I can't say that because every week I go through a different favorite. Well, not really a different favorite. I go through a different song because I try to figure out the best way to perform the song. So it's like,
Mm,
okay, this week I'm sticking with this week I'm sticking with that. But it's like saying if you have a kid, it's your kid, and be like, hey, what's the favorite part of your kid? Do you like the wrist or his foot
right,
better? I'm like, no, I like my
right.
kid.
Right,
I like the whole kid. Like,
right.
except for this runny nose or whatever, but I like the kid. Um, so it's really that. But I think, because that's why I tell people, if you can, try to take that album in, whether if you're on a commute or if you're on a run or a walk, let that be the 30 minutes that you use to do whatever you got to do. Um, and take it in and see how the connecting album goes, and hopefully you get what I'm actually trying to say, because I'm not trying to give you, I don't think there's any song on there where I'm trying to give you any fluff. I'm not just trying to be bragging or just whatever it is.
Right.
I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to literally tell you something either directly, indirectly, or layered in something. And so I think it's important to just like try to ingest the album.
And what impact do you hope that different kids have on the new generation of artists and fans who feel different?
Well, for the creative fan, for the creative person, the impact, well, for the creative and the non-creative, for the young and the old, or older. I don't want to be called old.
You're not
Um,
old.
for for all those people, I want the different kids to show that you can be unapologetically you. And it may not things may not happen for you the way you want them to happen for you right now, but
Right.
if you're unapologetically you in the right way, doing the right thing, the things you want will happen, and it will eventually happen, and maybe greater than you've ever expected. Like, perfect example, I was saying this to somebody earlier. I don't know what to expect from this album personally. I know that I needed to make the album. I know I wanted to express myself, and I know I wanted to put it out. Everything after that, I do not know what's going to happen. I don't.
Right.
So anybody receiving the album well and saying this album is good, this album is whatever, is all new to me. And if I didn't make the album, right? If I didn't decide to just step out and make the album, this is what I would have been doing today. Like today, in California, so it's 3:30. I've been working since 6:45, doing interviews all day, right?
Right.
And I love it. I'm not tired. I'm not hungry. Nothing. I'm no breaks. And but if I didn't do the album, you know what I would have been doing today? I would have been going to Whole Foods, then going to this other grocery store,
Right.
maybe getting the car washed, maybe paying a bill, complaining about something. It's like,
Right.
so the fact that I'm here and I'm able to talk to you, that's that's a success story for that. And that's what I want the different kids to tell people, like, yo, this was just a dream, an idea, a thought process that I just decided to do.
Right.
And when you decide to be different, when you decide to walk your own path, and when you decide to be yourself, guess what? You have a 100% success rate.
Right.
It's 100% success because you had an idea and you stepped forward to do that idea. Now, what if the idea don't work? That's fine. That
Right.
doesn't mean you failed. You succeeded because you stepped forward to the idea. Like, look at you, you're doing your show, right? Think about the day before you even did your show for the first time.
Hmm.
What was the day before that first day like? What was the week before? Never forget that. And that's what I'm saying. No, as far as you climb,
Yeah.
never forget the week, the day, the year before you did what you stepped out deciding to do. Because somebody could have told you, yo, you're bugging, sitting up here interviewing people. You should be working at AMP. I don't know, at working at the grocery store. You should be
Right.
a car salesman. You should be in school. You should be doing, or you could be whatever it is. I don't care. You decided to do this.
Right.
So you're already a success. You're a failure if you thought about doing this and you never did it.
Right.
And you sitting there like, dang, I could have rocked with this, but dang, I didn't. I decided to play video games today instead.
Yeah.
That's when you're at 100% failure rate. But when you do what you think you should do, you're at 100% success rate. And that's what I want the different kids to make people feel. I don't care how old you are. It's like a kid. I'm a kid with an idea that everybody told me that I shouldn't put out a record because I may have been too old, or the music is different, or nobody's checking for you. It could be a million things that somebody can say. How can y'all tell me that about me?
Right.
Like, I can never tell you that about you. How can you tell me that about me?
Yeah.
Don't. It's like you might as well say, "Don't wake up tomorrow." Okay.
Right. Right.
How do I change that? Like,
Right.
they will
Right.
tell me not to do that.
Right.
So yeah, man, that's my takeaway on that.
Definitely. And it's funny because there's things that like even like building up to me building up the platform of the publication way before that because I started in the industry when I was 16 with modeling. Then I went behind the scenes. Then I did now the I was with another publication and something was like build your own publication. Like go
Yeah.
and I did it. And a lot of people, you have people in the background that always be like, "Why are you doing that? You don't need to be doing that. What's your plan B?" And like I tell people all the time, I don't think about a plan B. If I want to go after something, I have to go after
Yeah,
it.
man. That
It's
plan B,
decided.
that plan B is whack.
Right.
Plan Bs are for losers, man. I'm sorry to say that,
No, you
but
good.
it's good. It's a different. A plan B is planning to fail, and
Yeah.
if I fail, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do this. Thinking ahead and having contingency plans. That's not a plan B.
Right.
That's like saying, okay, if this don't work, I can pivot to that. I
Yeah.
can pivot to this, but I can always get around back to doing that. That's not a plan B. That's just being smart.
Right.
But
Exactly.
a plan B is like, I want to be a model, but if that don't work, I'm gonna I'm gonna go to school to learn how to. I'm gonna be a barber. Two different things.
Right. Right.
But you know you can be a barber, right? But you really want to be a model.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are you thinking about being a barber when you want to be a model?
Yeah. Go
You know
after.
what I'm saying? And and
Yeah.
and and if you took one picture as a model, just one, I don't care if it was for just your like a hand model. I don't care what it is.
Right.
You took one picture. Guess what? You was a model.
Still one. Yeah. Yeah.
You were a model. You could say you could be old and be like, when I was younger, I used to be a model because I wanted to be a model and I did it.
Yeah.
And then I didn't do it and I decided to become a barber. But that's your decision to become. Don't make that the fallback if it don't work. Think about it. When you get in a car, do you go, I got to drive here. But if this car blows up,
Right.
I got my roller skates in the back. No, you
Right.
don't be thinking that.
Right. Right. Right.
You getting in the car. You don't think
Right.
about it. But you know that you may have AAA or insurance. You have your backup contingency, but
Right.
you don't have your roller skates in the back just in case you crash out on the highway.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, nah, man, nah.
Yeah. So on the sit down for Snub, the number three is in our name. So we have three questions, either final last three questions for you. Um,
Okay.
the
I hope
first
I can answer.
question, they're fun, random questions.
All right.
Number one is what three words best describe who you are as an individual?
Oh,
I told you there'd be some switch ups happening.
quirky,
All right.
um, stylish, uh, energy.
I one, I thought you was about to say different, switch, go back to it to do wrap around. But okay.
Okay, we did.
No,
Okay, let's
no, no,
take
no, no,
energy
no.
out.
We're gonna keep that. Those
Different.
are good. Those are good. The first why did you I'm gonna go with energy because I was say something I saw about you a while back, but let's go with energy. Why'd you pick that one?
Because I don't believe in low energy. I just don't believe in it. I believe in energy exchange. I believe in if I don't have no energy, I need to be around things that give me energy and I need to
Right.
give that energy back. And well, quirky does mean different. So that does
It can I got you. You got
so take quirky out, put different back in. Um I wasn't on my game. And I think so I think I think and I believe in doing everything you got to do until you run out of energy. That's how I believe. I just believe in just doing it to your fullest, everything. So that's it's just a firm belief in my, and I believe that everything is connected. Everything is connected by energy. Whether we know it or not, we are just looking. Like, if you think about something or someone or somebody that might not even be alive anymore, and you think about it, you've given them energy. There's energy. It takes energy to do every single thing. So if you're not connected to that energy, if you don't believe in that energy, if you don't feel like you are that energy, you're just die. You don't exist. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always conscious of that.
Definitely. You said something. Actually, I saw that you said on I believe the Sway Morning Show when you were on there, when you were talking about you were kind of talking about energy and how you keep yourself young, and thinking that you keep the negativity out. You don't worry about anything, even if it's like someone in front of you while they're driving and they're not moving fast enough, you're just letting it go, not letting anything get to you. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of times people allow that to get to them and they start messing, they understand it messing with your health, it messing with your mindset, your creativity. So
yes.
that I'm glad that you brought that up about energy though.
I tell people stress kills.
Yeah,
The number one killer of all people is stress because stress causes you to do things that you can die from as well. Stress causes you to drink, stress causes you to smoke, stress causes you to overeat and
yeah,
get morbidly obese. Stress causes you to not be active. Stress causes you to be, um, just go downhill. And so when you, it's not easy. I don't think it's the easiest thing in the world. But if you're able to not allow things to stress you out, and it's very hard because there's certain things you got to realize if something falls apart and it's your fault, take onus of it. Own it.
yeah,
I messed this up. All right, let's figure out how to fix it. Don't stress over it. Let's fix it,
right.
not stress it. Or just anything. Anything. I try my best to avoid stress. Sometimes you can't. Stress also, there's also good stress,
Yeah.
but I try my best to avoid the worst parts of stress.
Definitely. Number two, is there any body you've worked with so many greats anyway? Is there anybody past or present that you would want to be in their shoe for one day? Why or why not?
Or in their shoes for one day.
For
Prince,
one, mm, that's crazy. There's been like four people that said him like constantly. Why would you want to be in his shoe for one day?
because out of all the artists that I listen to or I resonate with him the most, to me, he is the purest version of an artist. When I say purest, I mean he's not the guy that we could go online and we see what his mansion look like or what his cars look like. If you look in online, you look at Prince's crib. Guess what Prince's crib is? His studio,
Hmm.
a film studio. It's his whole place that he lives or he lived was a place of creation.
Yeah,
Um, and that's something that I would do 500%. I would 500% do the same thing. But um we only see what we're given.
right.
So sometimes I always wondered like, I don't want to be someone else, but if I had to be in someone's shoes for a whole day, would that day be filled with pain?
Right. Yeah.
Would that day be filled with joy? What if Prince was a piece of shit? Like what if he
Right.
was an asshole? And now you're in his shoes and you're like, yo, this dude
What's
is
going on?
wild.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But maybe what if that's what it took for him to be what he was?
Mm,
What if Prince was the most insecure person on the planet? And so whatever he did that showed all the confidence that he had um was a manifestation of him trying to counterbalance his insecurities. I think, where you have artists to me like the most enigmatic artists to me like Prince or even a Sade, those type of artists, like I don't know what they do. All these new artists or current artists, we know where they live, we
yeah.
know what they drive, we know what they
Right.
went to, we know what mall they went to, we know what clothes they wear when they not rocking, we know how they look without they makeup, what they make up. I'm like, yo, what if, you wake up as Prince and you just throw on some Air Force Ones and your hair just be looking
Right,
crazy.
right,
You don't look like, you just, you going downstairs, you eat some frosted flakes and a wife beater and
right,
and some Tims
right. You just chilling.
and you just go down and you make a dope record. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? What if that's a Tuesday for Prince?
yeah,
And so I've always thought about that, and it's weird because I have friends that were personal friends of his, and like one of my friends would be like, how Prince would call her up at 4 o'clock in the morning and ask her to take him to Rite Aid because that was the only time he could walk through Rite Aid and
yeah.
and and not have a problem. And it's like, the first thing you're like, why is Prince in Rite Aid? But it's like, yo, he's a dude. Like, why
Interesting.
is
I
he
gotta
not in
go.
Rite Aid?
Right.
And that's the thing that's open at 4 o'clock in the morning. And
Yeah.
so, that experience I think would be very, very interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand too, like being in, I'm not sure if you do this, but a lot of us, even in the industry, sometimes like even when we just want to be, when we're in creative mode. I know for me, when I'm in creative mode, like literally I love hoodies. That's my thing. Like hoodies, I'll have like gummy bears next to me, a cup of water, and I'm like going at it, and I'm just like going, and I don't look at what time
Yep.
it is, but
Yep.
that's my space, you know?
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
of people don't get that. So like even like you're saying, what if he just at that moment you just see him just with some Timbs or a hoodie at 4 a.m. just running through like I have to get something out of here. You're like, why did
Yeah.
you
And
like
you
that?
like, wait, what? You know what I'm
Why is
saying?
that? But you don't know what's behind the scenes of what they put on. Like it's like, okay, this is my comfort zone. I need to run and go do this and then come back. Like that's my moment, you know?
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people don't, I'm not necessarily like that. Like I try to see the human element in anybody that I meet. I
Yes.
don't care how from the high to the low. You always see the human element. And a lot of times people don't recognize that. So when somebody has a human moment or they get in trouble, they do whatever, and they have a human moment, people are acting so shocked, like,
Like
how
it's
could they
news.
do? Like, yo, what you talking about?
They got
This-
emotions.
Yeah, they did what they did. Like
Right.
there's somebody out there doing the same thing that you don't even care about, that you don't know their name or nothing. They out here spazzing out the same exact way. So let's chill. Let's take it for what it really is.
Exactly. Your last question is whether or not you know it, I'm sure you know this, but whether or not you know this, we're role models to people that look up to us on different levels, whether it is like for you the music, producing, your creativity. What do you say to those individuals that are like, you know what, I want to get to that level, or I'm in a stagnant moment right now and I don't know what I need to do? What would you say? What kind of words of inspiration could you give those for today?
Someone's always watching you. You're always being watched. If you're online, trust me, they may not be liking, they may not be commenting, but they're watching always. Someone younger than you is watching you, whether it's a little cousin, a little sister, a little brother, or the kid across the street. They're watching you. And people need to start carrying themselves just like that.
Right.
Even if they feel stagnant, even if they feel like they're in a bad place, you don't know who sees you at what moment in time. So you have to figure out who you want them, who you think you are, who you know you are, not think, who you know you are. And even if you're in a stagnant place, you always have to carry yourself like who you know you are, because someone is watching you at all times. There's never a time, unless you're in a house by yourself and never go outside, not even to the grocery store. Like you never know, man. You like people come up to me and say, "Yo, I remember that time I saw you on the 7 train," or "I remember that time I saw you walking down Hollywood Boulevard. I remember that time I saw you." And I'm like, luckily, I don't be outside looking nuts because
Right.
I would hate to get caught out there like that.
Right.
But because it's in my mind and it's something that I was taught as a child. Like my mother used to always say, when you outside, you represent me,
I
you
mean,
represent your
yeah.
grandparents, you represent your great grandparents who are no longer here. You represent you and your people. So you got to, and I think a lot of us, especially as African Americans, we have lost sight of that. We some of us will get some money and we'll just be outside doing whatever, acting whatever, talking however, and not understanding that people are looking, people are recording,
Hmm.
people are writing it down, and now it's a topic of discussion. These people act like this.
Yeah.
That person acts like that. We're so busy. We're just so busy in our own bubbles,
Yeah.
and that's fine. You could be in your own bubble. You could be yourself, but you also gotta, whether it's a third eye or one eye open or one eye pointing to that way, you got to know that somebody's watching you at all time. And that's what anybody who's successful, non-successful, just
Yeah.
starting out. You know, I go outside, I see the little kids that live next door to me. I watch, I see what they do, I see how they are, and I'm like, oh wow, this guy, he's 12 years old now, but when he was 5, he used to do this,
Right.
and the kid would be like, you remember that? I'm like, of course, you live right next door.
Yeah.
So always be aware of that.
Yeah, I tell people that too, and I even tell them even commenting on certain things online, be careful because someday you may turn around and try to work with that person, and they're like, "Wait a minute, you said this on this," and you're like, "How did that
Yo, I gotta stop my comments every day. I
come?"
saw something today. I was about to put something. I was like, chill,
Yeah,
chill.
that may be
Even though I'm about to tell the truth,
right.
chill,
Yeah,
chill.
yeah.
Nobody asked you. Just keep it pushing.
Definitely. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time out to speak to us today. Is there any final words you want to give to anybody that's watching today?
Like I said before, never be afraid to be different. Never be afraid to walk your own path because when you are different and you walk your own path, whether you're disabled, whether you live certain lifestyles, whatever it is, never be afraid to express it because you're gonna regret it if you don't. Never be afraid to take a step toward the something that you always wanted to do because when you take that step, you always have a 100% success rate. And always remember that. Always keep your 100% success rate going. Because, like I said, anything opposite is a 100% failure rate. Nobody wants to be a failing bum. So, you go out there and you do and you express yourself the best way you know how, and you will feel free, you will be free, and you'll live your life in a great way.
Definitely. Well, sir, I want to again thank you for coming on the sit down. It was an honor,
Thank you.
privilege to have you. Keep
Thank you.
doing what
Thank you.
you're
Thank you.
doing. Everybody,
You
get
too.
the album. And yeah, I need to get a vinyl. Like I already said that I need to get it. I need to get one. So I'm definitely gonna get one. So
No,
I
I
can.
got you. I got you. I'll tell Raphael to make sure you get one. I think we go for pre-orders Friday.
Okay,
That's what we're hoping for.
I got you. Yeah,
So
listen,
hoping for the vinyl pre-orders on Friday, and like the first run of vinyl is like this dope turquoise vinyl. Then there's gonna be a yellow vinyl, and there's like a clear white one. There's some dope ones. So
yeah,
yeah, it's gonna be dope.
definitely. Make sure you get the album right, Kwame. Thank you again. Anything
Thank
you
you.
have coming up, let us know. Snub would definitely support you. It's an honor and a privilege.
Thank you. Thank you, man. All
Absolutely.
right.
Good one. All right.
Have a great one.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.